80 to 90% of any great idea, it has nothing to do with the idea in itself. It has to do with the way you execute it. I don't know if there's a day we've ever looked at an idea that's failed and looked at each other and said, told you so. There is no told you so. There is, man, we screwed that up. What do we learn and how do we improve it for the next time?
Top leaders, meaningful conversation, actionable advice, bulldoze complacency, ignite inspiration, create impact. Produced by Southwestern family of companies. This is the Action Catalyst.
This episode is sponsored by Southwestern Coaching. Southwestern Coaching has helped over 12,000 people increase their incomes by over 25% on average. As a successful salesperson, you know the importance of increasing your sales, but sometimes you might just need a little extra push and accountability to meet your goals and grow your business. Southwestern Coaching will help you increase your income through one-on-one sales and leadership coaching tailored specifically to your needs. Together, we will elevate sales.
Today's guest is Dave Mortensen, the president and co-founder of Self-Esteem Brands, now Purpose Brands, which includes wellness and fitness brands like Anytime Fitness, Orange Theory, The Bar Method, and more. Co-founded alongside Chuck Runyon, another Action Catalyst guest, in episode 220.
It's great getting both sides in partnership, like the one you guys had, and how you've grown what you've built over. How many years has it been now? Like how many years ago was it that you?
Well, May of 2002 is when we started Anytime, but Chuck and I have been business partners for 35 plus years.
35 plus years.
Yeah. If you met Chuck and now you'll meet me, you'll go, wow, can these guys be any different? So we are, it's funny, we've been 35 plus years, but yet in any business scenario, we'll probably land in the same spot, but we come at it at a completely different direction.
You guys met through the work, just working at gyms?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. So I literally came out of college, dropped out of college, knew I wanted to be in the fitness industry. That was my passion. Chuck was doing it because he got free basketball. Okay, so let's be clear on the difference between the two of us. I was a little bit more intentional in coming into this industry. I wanted to be in it. Chuck was in it because he liked to play basketball and he could play anytime for free, right? During that period of time, I actually got recruited by this chain of clubs he was already working at to go manage one of their clubs. And Chuck and I met, and shortly thereafter, about a year later, we started our consulting firm, and the kind of story was written after that. What makes Chuck and I work is that we will challenge each other every day. Like there isn't a day. If Chuck has an idea, it is my job to tell him that's a bad idea. And if I have an idea, he's going to tell me it's a bad idea, not in the intention to break down my idea, but to strengthen it. What Chuck and I have learned really early, we have zero egos on whose idea we're going to go with. We'll typically pick the idea that the person that's probably most passionate about it, and whatever that may be, and can articulate what they're trying to accomplish with it. Now, that isn't the secret. The secret is once we choose an idea, no matter if it's Chuck's or it's mine, now what is the role of the person? So if it's Chuck's idea, what is my job? And almost everyone, I won't put you on the spot because everyone says the same thing, support the idea. And that's not the answer. The answer is actually lead the idea to success. So if it is Chuck's idea, then it's my job to go make it work. In the essence, we both have to lead it to success because 80 to 90% of any great idea, it has nothing to do with the idea in itself. It has to do with the way you execute it. Rarely will Chuck and I ever, and I don't know if there's a day we've ever looked at an idea that's failed and looked at each other and said, told you so. There is no told you so. There is, man, we screwed that up. What do we learn and how do we improve it for the next time?
Reminds me of this adage that I heard a long time ago is that you don't focus on always making right decisions. You focus on making decisions and then making them right. Very, very good quote and very, very true.
And so we just never get really caught up or enamored with ourselves. I think Chuck and I don't spend a lot of time in the accolades of what we've done because that just creates complacency and laziness. And we just have very little tolerance for that.
There's a similar set of skills, or do you find that you guys have
completely different? Chuck is an innovator. He will challenge a status quo every day of the week, and he makes good great. He does. Chuck is a person, you put him in a flourishing market, he's going to make it even better. That's what he's really good at. I am the guy to look at something that is not working and dive in deep and figure it out and fix it. So, and bring it to that good to get it to great. Chuck is typically going to stay above the fray. I'm going to be in the deep of the fray, and where we balance each other. There's days I got to look at Chuck and say, "Hey, buddy, get out of the clouds a little bit, and let's get to work here. We gotta dive into some of the work we're doing versus create new stuff to do." And there's times where he'll be the guy to look at me and say, "Dave, get out of the way of the team and allow them to continue to do what they're doing because you're scaring the hell out of them."
When I read your bio and background and I was looking at it, it did almost make me feel like you're this like business integrator where you're in it, like you dive in, you have maybe like a little bit more capability of staying in the details for longer periods of time when it comes to the team. But
yeah, Chuck is the first 3 innings. I'm the second 3 innings. And then we hire really smart people to finish the last 3 innings.
I love that. So Anytime was the first baby that you guys had. And then when did you guys acquire your next franchise?
There are a lot of different things we did. So look at 2008. 2008 and 9 is when we made one of our first major pivotal decisions. When you think about pivoting, we had a third partner. And at that time, Anytime Fitness probably had we were probably at about 600 clubs open at that time. And we knew we were onto something special. But Chuck and I, we both looked at each other and wanted to reinvest back into that business because we knew we were a part of something that was bigger than ourselves. And our third partner, albeit, was in it for one reason. He wanted to make money, get out and go enjoy life. So we've found a way to make that happen. Now, to make that happen, believe it or not, Chuck and I took if you know anything about 08, 09, that was the financial crisis at the time. So Chuck and I had to buy him out. I had to take on a loan for $26 million, right, at 16% interest. So imagine taking a 16% interest loan on anything. It's like credit card loans, right? But we didn't have to be in it that long. We were probably in that loan for about a year and a half, and then we refinanced, and the story's written from there. But that'd be a big bet today in our lives, no matter what. But it was a crazy bet. But one thing, we didn't lack confidence, and we were super competitive. And we wanted to win, and we built a winning team. So we were able to accomplish that through that work. But that's where the predecessor of going, okay, what do we, beyond just Anytime Fitness, who do we want to be? And that's where Self-Esteem Brands came to life. That is where we really built our pillars around our 4 Ps of people, purpose, profits, and play, which is truly our intellectual property today, the way we deliver and execute our businesses. And that's where we bought our first brand and said we wanted to be not only a fitness brand, but a franchise vehicle. We wanted to be able to provide franchising in multiple facets and build out capabilities. And that's where we acquired Wax in the City. And then, the story's been written since then with multiple brands.
Dave, none of us are static, but, people who grow businesses from, 1 or 2 to thousands and millions of members tend to have to grow a lot more than the average person to do it. I'm so interested in the Dave I'd be sitting across from in 2003, 2004 versus the Dave I'm sitting in front of now. I mean, what are some of the iterations that you personally went through in personal growth?
Yesterday or today? Literally, that is a mindset people need to have, is that you're always growing and you're always learning, and you can learn from anybody and anything. So I'm a human growth is something that is forever going to happen. And it's something that both Chuck and I just have a mindset. We go at it differently. Chuck is just a ferocious reader, right? He reads everything. I'm a consumption of human. So, I'm a connector with a lot of different people, and I'll learn a lot from others, in all aspects. And it's just a way we grow and learn. Now, that doesn't mean I don't read it. It doesn't mean he doesn't, create the relationships. We both probably do it. It's just, one's more formidable than the other. But we're both always in a learning mindset. I've found I like being around really, really intelligent people in different facets. I don't care if they're awkward, they're weird, whatever. Sometimes those awkward ones have some of the most brilliant things to offer. And learning was something, early on, I would say the biggest transition for me was from doing to leading. That is a really hard transition for leaders, especially founders. Founders are the worst at transitioning from doing and leading. Leading is where you are more passionate about the success of the people around you than you are passionate about the work that you're doing. And that most founders can't get past. Chuck and I are people first type of mindset people. So it was easy for us to make that transition, and then just learning how to do that over the years and become better at it. Because at someday you realize, as most CEOs, if they do it right, cannot get hired at their own company for doing anything else but being the CEO, because you become capability experts in every aspect of the business. I'm never going to be the CMO by means. So every one of these roles, you're going to bring capacity leaders around you that are experts, really, really smart people, and get them to play in the sandbox together.
I love that. Do you remember the first time you hit like a proverbial wall?
My strength and my weakness is I can probably dive into anything and figure it out. And that strength and a weakness. The weakness in that is that I was taking on things that were not ready, or we weren't developing as fast as the organization was. So I was trying to solve problems that were going to take me a little bit more time to learn and figure out, and the business was ahead of it, right? And when you start to live in behind your business and start to figure things out that are not within your capability wheel, this is where I think the greatest gift of most leaders, top down, biggest weakness they have is they don't ask for help. And they don't look to find capability leaders or capabilities in general that can come in and help you solve the problems, because you're trying to solve it yourself. It's like you're almost your ego gets in the way because you're embarrassed you don't understand it, or you haven't figured it out yet. And that actually put an anchor onto the business. And when you put an anchor on a boat and try and go down the way of the water, you know what happens. That anchor only gets heavier. It picks up weeds. It gets stuck on a rock, and you become the stalling point to your business. So there were areas of the business I needed to let go and allow others, or get rid of and allow others be able to, with better capabilities, be able to lead that space of the business, so I could focus on the major things of our business that I can have better control of.
I've heard, from a number of people that a great leader is a great recruiter, which you've kind of alluded to in the few stories that you just shared, right? You found talented people. What does that mindset look like, over the course of your career? I mean, if you go into a conference and you're eyeballing people for talent, where are you sourcing some of these great people that you found and surrounded yourself with?
That's a great question. Easy answer for me. One, my biggest advice for people in business, especially early business, when you find someone great, make a place for them. Find a place to bring them into the order. A lot of times we get caught up in going, okay, this is what I need. And that's important. You got to know your capability. But when you see talent and there's talent there, don't hesitate to bring that talent into the organization. The other thing is watch what the word talent means. Talent with people is, I'll say this, when you look at you look at the grid, right? You look at the 4 grid, and you want everyone in the upper right, right? You want everyone in the upper right. In your upper right or upper left, however you want to look at it, one of the things that we look are high talent, high culture people, right? The biggest mistake most organizations do is they bring in high talent that don't match your culture. That is the biggest mistake you can make, because you know what high talent, low culture is in an organization? Cancer. Because they're so highly talented, you know that talent, you see that talent, but they don't fit within your ethos of who you are. And the one thing that Chuck and I have always known, and we literally have documented, is what we look for in people. Things like, for us, we need people who are competitive, right? We want people who are highly competitive. We want people who are highly passionate about what they do. I know if I'm not passionate about it, no matter how great of an idea it is, I'm probably not going to execute it that well. We need people who are self-aware. especially in leadership, self-awareness. You've heard this many times, but there are so many people that are not. So I can tell you every gap I have and probably even more. And I'm interested to learn more about those gaps. So having people understand their gaps in life are very, very important. If they're constantly trying to mask them, they're not improving. If you're spending more time trying to hide your weaknesses or hide anything, well, guess what? Then you're going to have a lot of gaps. Selfless. We need people who are selfless. If you are going to build a large organization, you can't have I people in the room. And Chuck and I have zero tolerance. We don't like titles, right? I'm not a big title guy, and I don't like I people in the room. But what is important is leaders in a room that are intrigued to hear the voice of everybody. I will say having a voice is very, very important. Last but not least, believe it or not, for Chuck and I, we need people with a sense of humor. We need people that are fun to be around, because I don't need a bunch of dry nuts in our organization, to be very candid with you, because they just don't last that long for us. We want a sense of humor. And if you take yourself too serious, we always say, take the business as serious as can be, but don't take yourself too serious. And those are the elements that we look for when we bring people on. I think the weakness when I say this a lot of times in podcasts is to say, you need to know who you are as a leader and surround yourself with people who have similar cultural beliefs, because if you have a broken culture, the talent's not going to go anywhere.
Well said. I mean, I was in the cultural reference piece. It's great. And you can have cultural identifiers, but still find people with a variety of different strengths. I mean, they could be introverted, but still meet all the criteria you just shared, right? In terms of like sourcing too, because this is always in people's mind. I mean, are we like, throwing up LinkedIn job descriptions? Like, if you kind of itemize some of your top leaders today, where did some of those folks come from? Like, did you have a headhunter and a recruiter? Were you out there wheeling and dealing and shaking hands?
A little bit of everywhere. We've got recruiters. We've had wins and failures in those. We've had, just networking, because we are a high culture organization and people hear about us, they're going to reach out to us. Always telling our teams we're always hiring. I think that's important. We're always hiring for great talent. So if you know someone, introduce us. So a lot of it's been things like that. But, just having an intrigueness to always be looking for quality is really, really important. And when you have an open door policy like we do, I mean, if you read the plaque that had been in front of my office door for years, it's simply just ask. You have to have that open door policy all the time. And that's what's the differentiator from a good leader, is they need to make sure they're open to great talent.
One of the ways to make sure someone's a cultural fit is to develop them from within. Was that something that you all did as well, where you've taken people in your organization? I feel like Chuck or someone in your company told me a couple examples.
I'm a firm believer, go to dinner with them. Sometimes go to dinner with their family, depending on the level of person you're bringing into the organization, because you'll learn a lot from their environment. And you let them lead that. So, hey, we'd like to go to dinner with you, but go ahead and why don't you set it up? We'll go ahead and buy the dinner, but you tell us where we're going. Where they choose, how they choose it, all of those things make a matter. I'll tell you a little nugget we've done for years, and I can say this now because we're not in the office every day anymore, right? But a nugget we used to do is when we bring in a high-level leader, we'd leave every person that was coming in for an interview in front of our executive assistant. And I'll tell you why. It's intriguing how people treat others versus how they'll treat you. And I'm very much a person that needs to know that they're going to treat up the chain equally as they do down the chain. And you wouldn't believe how many times they would treat our executive assistant completely different when we weren't in the room. And the ones who shined the most were the ones that were, and she had a great gut for people as well. So when you start to lean on your teams and ask them, what did they think of these individuals? They'll align you with the cultural fit really quick.
So acquisitions can be a real challenge because you're assimilating cultures and they're often quite separate. I mean, they may share values, but you're still different founder, different, you guys acquired Orange Theory this year, which I think on that track, the original owner had already sold to private equity, right? This would be the second.
Yeah.
How do you tackle, you've done it a number of times now, cultural mergers of that size?
they're all different depending on the scale and the size. Cultural alignment is really, really important because at the end of the day, this is something people always talk about with businesses. I don't care the business. There's holes in the business. There's always going to be gaps. What big mistake organizations will do is when they bring on or they merge or they acquire, doesn't matter how it is, it should be equally treated the same. Doesn't matter who's the bigger one, who's the smaller one. One, they should be treated equally when the merger happens because the IP that they have, the intellectual property they're bringing to the table, the thing that made you passionate about it, if you're not passionate about uncovering the values that you acquired or you purchased, you partnered with, and all you're doing is looking for their gaps, you'll never see its opportunity. And that is a big mistake a lot of people do, is they look to see where the holes are. So it's almost telling you how smart I am. You know what? Oh, geez. The way they do their strategy, they don't even have a budget or strategy. Well, you know what? They did something right because they're pretty darn big. So we should probably understand how they got there, not necessarily a process in which they did it in. Yes, once you can show each other's values and you've earned that trust of those values, then you can start uncovering areas of opportunity to improve together. But if you don't do it together, there's going to be an us versus them mentality, and we want to fix things too quickly rather than really get interested in learning what we've got involved in.
If you're able to answer, what was that about Orange Theory that said this is the right fit?
A lot of different things with Orange Theory. Technology, I would say, was when we looked at this was truly a merger. So this wasn't an acquisition. This was a merger of two equals coming together. And what areas could we complement each other? Because there were obviously areas that we had overlaps, and there's going to be, like, they had strong this, we had strong this. But one of the things that was really strong on their side was technology, and the advancement of technology into fitness is something that we really wanted to do right. It's an area that we did okay, but we wanted to, we did it really well operationally. An example, like our doors opening, operational, our doors open every time, right? That's kind of an important technology, right?
Yeah.
But we wanted to get closer to the consumer with technology because we knew this thing right here was a differentiator in people's lives. And how are we going to win the war of the phone in health and wellness? We knew their partnership would help us get there. For us to them, it was our global breadth and expansion. So because we had such a massive network globally in 40 plus countries with true penetration and saturation in these markets, we just had an awareness of how to grow globally. That was real value. And there was a lot of little ones, but those were probably, if you would ask them what attracted them most to us, it'd have been that. And we would have said their technology.
Yeah. And I see, on paper, it seems like that such a good fit from those two components overlapping. Where does the brain go from here, Dave?
Yeah, 7,000 facilities in 50 countries, and we continue to grow with the largest fitness platform, but we really want to be the largest personal care platform. So imagine not just fitness, but anything in the personal care space. We want human high-touch businesses is what we really want, and we want to utilize technology to ignite the relationships to the consumer because we know those interfaces really, really are challenging. Right now, everyone's looking to figure out, how do I take technology and replace human touch? We don't want to replace the human touch. We actually want to ignite it. And we want to be a part of businesses that have high level human touch in relational and make it easier for them to be even better at it. And have them focus on the things they actually like to do and utilize technologies to be able to enhance it.
That's a fantastic mission. It's kind of like artificial intelligence and all these tracking software. There's a component where people feel it can pull them away from community, but if leveraged correctly, you can just add value to those.
Yeah, I want AI to teach us more about how we can be better at who we are with humans and how we can make it easier for our people to know who they should be talking to, right? So a lot of times we in the fitness industry are really good. I use the McDonald's theory all the time. You remember the McDonald's ball pit?
Yeah.
where you put your kids in, everyone loves it. Well, that's what the fitness industry has been for, centuries, where you jump into the ball pit and you got all these people. Think of every one of those balls as members of your club. And we were really good at grabbing the ones on the top and giving them love and showing them care. And we had these great stories about them and we loved it, right? We throw them back and forth, everything else, and make it great. But what we had, the problem is on the bottom of that ball pit, there were a lot of balls getting stepped on, crunched, stuffed in a corner and ignored, and we were losing them out of the bottom of the bucket. So imagine if we no longer have a ball pit we're jumping in, it's more like a ball hopper where AI teaches us who to talk to, when to talk to them, and how to talk to them. So it gets shot to us in a way that says this person needs this kind of personal care and touch. And that's where AI is going to be an enhancement to the fitness industry, is really managing the behavior of our customers better so we can meet their needs where they are at any point in time in the journey.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing in that is, there's always a retention issue that you want to address as any kind of gym or location, right? Where the people who stop coming, or maybe they go through a phase, they become disconnected. And those are your opportunities that if you engage them appropriately early enough and you catch it before it's been 3 weeks since they've shown up, there's an opportunity to keep them engaged and help them meet their goals.
Everyone gets enamored with the new thing coming in the fitness industry. Whatever it may be, GLP-1s is a big conversation in the fitness industry. How do we ignite and balance that relationship with people on weight loss medication? There's ways to do that as well. Or it's the new workout, the new exercise, the new piece of equipment, whatever it is. But I'll tell you, fitness has figured out how to get people in shape for a very, very long time. What we have not done is figured a way to deepen the relationships with customers to help them in their journey through the hard times. And that's the next level of fitness, is really being able to meet them 168 days out of hours out of a week, right? We only are going to see them 2 to 3 times. Now, if we can ignite our touch points with our customers throughout the week, depending on their wellness journey, we're going to have a better success ratio of helping them succeed in their weight loss or their weight gain or whatever fitness goals they have.
What do you think of when you think of the word accountability? How does that fit into your belief ecosystem with your customers, your culture?
Accountability is essential, and that's part of holding yourself accountable, number one, but holding others accountable from a consumer lens wise. It's really helping them hold themselves accountable. And what are the tools and resources they need to be able to held accountable to their fitness journey? One of the things AI taught us, and I always like sharing, is let's say someone's coming in 2 days a week at a health club, and they start to come 3 or 4 times a week. What does that mean to you?
They're increasing their accountability. They're getting some joy. They're getting something in return for their effort, right? So they're coming more.
You know what the truth is? That means they're going to cancel it. Let me tell you what. This is what AI taught us. If I'm coming 2 days a week, I start coming 3 or 4 days a week. What do I want? I want more. And what is more? I want more results. Now, consumers don't call you and say, I'm going to start coming 3 or 4 days a week. They just start coming 3 or 4 days a week. And if we don't meet them at that point in their journey, what happens is they start coming, but they haven't changed the way they're going to exercise or change the way they're going to consume their fitness and wellness. And they start to work twice as hard to see very little result. So then and that creates frustration. And within that frustration, they go from 4 down to 0 really quick. Is it our opportunity to meet them in those pivotal moments, in those pivotal changes in their wellness journey, to help them succeed in it? And that's what we're learning to do and get better each and every day.
Stay tuned. We'll conclude this interview with Dave Mortensen in episode 498 of The Action Catalyst.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.
This is your host, Adam Outland. And outside of this podcast, I'm also the leader for a division of our company, Southwestern Consulting, and our division is the Southwestern Student Coaching Program. And that division we started back in 2020 because the desire we had was to take all these skills that we've equipped executives with. For over a decade, I've coached executives and managers and sales professionals on the skills, the habits, the motivation, and the systems to be successful in their job and in life. And what we realized from working with 30, 40, 50-year-olds was if we could have gotten to them when they were in ninth grade, in middle school, in high school, and equipped them with the same things we're teaching them now, the ripple effects would be huge. And so back in 2020, we decided to formulate a coaching program for youth, equipping youth with the same types of skill development that we typically work on with adults. We just apply it to their world. And what that looks like is teaching them the study skills, the communication skills that they can use every day in the classroom and outside the classroom, coaching them on the mindset and the motivation of someone who's a top performer. And what does that mean? It means helping a young teenager create and craft a vision for themselves. Because without a vision, we perish, but with a vision, we can be equipped with the motivation to dig into our study habits. We can see the connection between our future and the excellence that we have to form on our habits now to be successful in the long run. And we also work on the emotional intelligence. It's how we balance our emotions and manage those emotions when they come up in a way that allows us to communicate effectively with others and to communicate with ourselves. It's about equipping young people with self-talk. That means equipping them with the language that they can use to better direct their thoughts and their mind to accomplish their goals and their aims. And lastly, we equip them with the systems. That means for us, the tools, the time management, and the organization strategies to not just work hard in life, but to work smart. And when we combine all these different areas that we work with our teens on, what we find is that they form the habits early in life that allows them to achieve their goals later in life and even right now. And so our passion is to equip as many young people across this world as we can. And we're doing pretty good so far. We've got teens in 7 different countries who've been through our coaching program to date. We've worked with over 400 teens, and we would love to be able to serve you as well. Here's how it works. If you want to investigate coaching, we start with a parent consultation. That's a free call to discuss your student's particular needs and our program details. We work with Olympic athletes all the way down to teens that are just struggling to motivate themselves to do the daily work necessary in their class. So wherever your teen is, we'll meet them where they are and get them to the next level. And that starts with a parent consultation with you. A student planning session, that's the next step. If we agree that the value that coaching can bring matches your teen, then we will move to a student planning session. It's basically a free one-on-one coaching session with your teen. And that is designed to support them, but it's also designed to ask a lot of questions to help explore whether or not they want to be coached. Because at the end of the day, they ultimately have to be the one that pulls the trigger. And then after your student planning session, we get them paired with the right coach for them. We have an amazing staff of coaches from ex-Division I athletes, people who've come from the Ivy League system. We have coaches who have come from entrepreneurial backgrounds and acting backgrounds, so we can pair them with the right fit for them. And then once they partner with their coach, they'll benefit from 2 coaching sessions a month to really zone in on their personal growth and their skill development. So if you're ready to give your student the tools they need to be successful, click the link in the show notes for more information and to make sure you can schedule your free parent consultation today.